Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our virtual cafe for women entrepreneurs today. My name is Carrie Ramsey, and if you haven't met me before, I'm the project manager for the We Can project, which stands for Women Entrepreneurs Can. And we're funded by FedDev Ontario through the Women Entrepreneurship Strategy Ecosystem Fund. And we've had probably almost 50 workshops and virtual cafes at this point since COVID began only a year ago. But each one is different. And so I'm so grateful, first of all, that you've shown up today. You didn't just register, you also showed up. So like give yourselves a high five because you're investing in yourselves and in your business. So today we are going to do something completely different that we haven't tried before in a virtual cafe. We're going to use our breakout rooms. We're going to get interactive. And I know we're usually interactive, but today we're going to try some different tactics and ways to connect women. So first of all, let's take a moment to, if you could just put into the Zoom chat where you're connecting from, because I know on the registration list there were people from diverse areas. And secondly, let us know if you have a business, either include a link to your Instagram or your website, maybe your LinkedIn, whatever you feel comfortable, because today is not just about learning, it's also about connecting and networking. And while you're taking a moment to do that, I will acknowledge that I'm connecting to this virtual cafe from the Bay of Quinte region, which is the traditional hunting, gathering, and fishing territory of the Huron, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. And I was thinking about a way to make this land acknowledgement personal today. And for those of you who may be watching this on YouTube at some point in the future, I'll mention that yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. And so I don't know if you have one of those family members who knows your whole family genealogy, but I do. I have a cousin, Megan, and she emailed the whole family yesterday and said, remember, we're Irish because, you know, we have this John Burke in our lineage who was a fighting Irishman. He arrived, you know, and he landed on the Canadian shores. And so, you know, I was chuckling and yeah, we were all celebrating St. Patrick's Day, but it reminded me as well of a part of my family history, which was that one of my ancestors also arrived in Canada and married an Indigenous woman. She was a Cree woman. And in fact, that's all it said on the marriage certificate. It said that he was married to a Cree woman, a nameless Indigenous woman who didn't even have the value for the government official to put her name on that marriage certificate. And it's sort of a part of my family heritage that, you know, it just, you know, it cuts me when I think about that. And when I think about reconciliation, it's not just about the government making things right with the First Nations people. It's about all of us owning those parts of our family history that maybe we're not so proud of. And yeah, I might not be directly to blame for that, but I have to own that that's a part of my history. And now in the work that I do, can I just say how rewarding it is to name the Indigenous women that I work with and celebrate them and showcase them. And I kind of see that as being a full circle moment for me now in this role to be able to honor the Indigenous women that I work with. So I hope that you'll think back to maybe some ways that you can do that as you are in your own profession. So that's my land acknowledgement for today. Welcome to you all. If you haven't already put a little note into the Zoom chat, please let us know where you're connecting from and what your business is. So the theme of today's virtual cafe is collaboration. And some of you are like, what? I didn't know. That's okay. Don't worry. Every month we sort of focus on a different theme. And so even if you haven't yet launched your business, that's okay. We're still going to talk about collaboration. And who knows, today you might leave here with some connections. You're like, hey, I can think and imagine of some ways I could collaborate with that individual. So we're going to be using the breakout room function in just a few moments. But before we get started, let me throw out a question to you all. And I know that you're already engaging in the chat. Oh, let me mention as well, I have turned on the live transcription. If that is something you don't want to see, you can just go down to the live transcript. I think the button is on the bottom of your Zoom screen, and you can hide the subtitles. So I'll just let you do that if that's up to you. If that's interfering with something on your screen, that's okay. So just, I know that I've asked you to put into the Zoom where you're from, but if you could also add an answer to this question, which is, have you before collaborated with have you formed what you would consider a collaboration with another business? Doesn't have to be a woman-owned business. Just put yes, no, or I'm not sure. So let's just sort of do a quick poll of the group and say, have you collaborated before? And if you're like, I'm not sure what collaboration is, you can put, I'm not sure, or you don't have to respond. But it's up to you. So I'm seeing a lot of yeses, not sure, awesome. That's so amazing. Let me give you one quick example of a collaboration that happened just during the past holiday season with two of our weekend project clients. And I just love when people create something that I would never have imagined before. So we have a client who is a coffee roaster on Wolf Island. We also have a client who is a sign language specialist, and she does illustrations. She illustrates what saying language looks like, for instance. She's an amazing artist. So these two seemingly unconnected and unrelated businesses, a coffee roaster and a sign language interpreter and illustrator, got together. And what they did was that the one woman drew the ASL sign for coffee. And Alex, who owns the coffee company, put it into her holiday packages so that when someone opened their roast coffee, there was also a little education about, by the way, here is the ASL sign and symbol for coffee. And then also Leah on her Facebook page cross-promoted by filming a quick video that showed the symbol for coffee with a package of the coffee from Haymakers sitting there on the desk. So it was like this little cross promotion, such a simple way to collaborate. And so when you think about collaborations, it doesn't mean you have a partnership, a formal partnership. It's just a way to cross promote, to integrate, and to reach new audiences. So we'll get a little bit more into that today. Right now, I just want to throw up though a poll for you and ask this question. Just give a nod. Can you see that poll, everyone? Is that appearing on your screen? Okay. If you're traveling in your car listening, you probably won't see it. Take a moment to answer this poll. You'll have to read through it. But in your opinion, by the way, no right or wrong answer. What is the best reason for collaborating in your opinion? Is it to reach new audiences, build your email list? Are you looking to expand your professional network, get new ideas, build your social following, or generate more profit? And by the way, I wouldn't say there's a right or wrong answer, so don't be shy. And then I will reveal to you. So I'm looking right now as to how many of you have engaged. That's why I'm just waiting for a moment. And I know 100% of you won't be able to necessarily, but I'll just wait for that to get slightly higher. Hopefully you can all see the poll. Okay, so I'll end that polling right now. And a couple more of you. Great. So the number, can you see the results on your screens, folks? No, okay. So the results are, most of you are saying reaching new audiences, followed by getting new ideas. Let me just see if I end the poll. Yes, I think you can now see the results, right? Can you see the results now? Nope, still no. Okay, so reaching new audiences, number one. Second was getting new ideas, followed by expanding your professional network, building your social media following, generating more profit, and then nobody chose building your email list. Oh, here we go, share the results, Carrie. If you would just read what's on your screen. So that's the results. So this is interesting. When I put the questions together, I actually thought, you know what, all of the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reasons actually lead to generating more profit if you think about it, right? You should build your email list, the whole thing is so that your business stays alive. So I was curious to see, but as women, we are so just timid to put that we want more profit, God forbid. So that's really an interesting thing. We see a lot of that. But interesting, reach new audiences was your chief reason. So that's super cool. So an interesting result there. And there are so many reasons that you can go into collaborating. So we're going to head into our first breakout room so that I stop talking and be the talking head on this. The way that this works is I'm going to put you into random rooms, and I'm hoping this is going to, let me just see. There's how many of us too? So let's create 5. I think this will work. We're going to create a number of breakout rooms, which will put you into a room probably with 3 or 4 other women. So here's your guiding question. All right. So this is an interactive type of a session today. I want you, first of all, to just introduce yourselves, right? So just quick 30-second elevator pitch, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and who you do it for. That's sort of a quick elevator pitch. Followed by, I would love for the group to find 3 things that you folks have in common in that group. Now, you can't use that you identify as women. Okay, that one is off the table. We know that, we're here. And probably not that you have a business, because most of you do. So try to find 3 commonalities. Don't overthink it. Don't start thinking, how can we collaborate? That's not what this is about. It's just to engage our thinking. So I'm going to go ahead, put you in the breakout rooms for 10 minutes. And I'll kind of pop around. And if we find that 10 minutes is too long, I'll bring you back earlier. But I think that we'll try the first one 10 minutes. So get to know some folks that are in the group. Any questions before we get going? So welcome back, everyone. Is there one person that would like to share with us 1 or 2 or 3 things that the group had in common? Who wants to put up their hand and go ahead? Okay, Kathy, I see for your group, go ahead.
We started general. We all live in Ontario. We all love education, and then we were really struggling, hair color, eye color, pets. So we did find a common love of bread and mushrooms.
Oh, interesting. And mushrooms, that's interesting. Bread, I understand. Fantastic. All right, another group who would like to share. Go ahead, Michelle.
All right. The 3 things we came up that we have in common, it was making something from nothing, creativity, and the ability that we're chasing our dreams.
Oh, I love that. High fives. Great. Oh, so I mean, almost as interesting as mushrooms. That's yeah. Fantastic. All right. Third group, who would like to raise a hand and speak on behalf of that group? Or the 4th group. Barbara, are you going on? All right, go ahead.
Sure, I'll go on. So we came up with a few things. So about co-regulating, so making sure that having a good balance with everything that's going on, work, family, housework, everything. So that was really good. Of course, then also and that was also with, should say co-regulating, which also translated to mindfulness, mind and body, and taking care of yourself with all this stuff going on. And then that was also a multitasking. We're all multitaskers, juggling many balls. And then also bringing positive energy. So.
Absolutely, love that. And the last group, who would like to go? Go ahead, Victoria.
Thank you. So one of the things that we kind of first discovered was that we all have been keeping active during COVID, whether that's dancing or walking or chasing around toddlers. Everyone's got their little thing. We all love meeting people, and we're passionate about helping others, whether that's through our businesses or just separately out in the world.
I love it. All right, so we've broken the ice a little bit, just found that even though our businesses are diverse, there are some things we have in common. Sometimes we have to dig for them, but there always are things in common. And that commonality is really a foundation for collaboration when you think about it. In fact, the most important part, well, let me throw it out to you. What do you think the most important part, if you're looking for something to collaborate, you are going to look for a commonality. In what types of ways do you think it is? What are some of the questions you would try to find that you have in common with someone else to form a potential collaboration? Whitney, I see you nodding. Do you have an idea? Go ahead.
Yeah, ask them about their personal journey, their own story, so you can understand the value and the value of lying behind what's motivating them. So that's very important. If we share the same value, if you share the same value, you can work together. Otherwise, it would be a huge conflict.
Absolutely. Probably one of the most important things you want to consider when you're looking for someone to collaborate, that you share common values, that your business values align with their business values. So thank you, Whitney. It's like your textbook. You knew the #1 thing to hit on, but it was so true, because as she pointed out, if you're not in alignment and they don't have the same values, then this is not going to be a comfortable or a very successful or enjoyable collaboration. So take time to do your homework. If you haven't already established what your values are in your business, take a step back and go through that exercise and say, what are the core values that I am building my business on? You should know that, right? And if you haven't already put that even on your website, some people put it on their website or in their bio line, I don't know, put it somewhere out there and live it and model it. Great. Someone else, something else that might be important for collaboration to find that you have in common. We're looking at making some successful collaborations.
I just recently was trying to collaborate with somebody and I couldn't figure out what was really bothering me, and it was our brands didn't match. So it was really uncomfortable, where it was like, well, I don't want to sell your stuff on my website because it doesn't match with the brand that I'm trying to, like, the high quality, healthy kind of stuff. So brand awareness, I think,
Well, I think
is
you
very
just spoke
similar
to-
to what
yeah.
Whitney had said.
Yeah, you just
Like-
spoke to values of quality,
Yeah.
of lifestyle. So I think you hit the same thing, which was a brilliant example. Absolutely, for sure.
Okay.
Another thing that's important to think of. Sorry, go ahead. Somebody had their hand up.
Yeah, hey,
and
Carrie, Karishma. Yeah, I have
Karishma,
my
yes.
static image. Yeah, I'm not putting my video here. So, yeah, so for me in financial services and in public affairs, I always look at engagement levels. And if I am talking about business, I don't start with business because, you know, the idea is that during these times, it's good to kind of get health, wellness. You know, there are entrepreneurs who are burnt out. There are entrepreneurs who do not have the right tools. So it's always good in terms of exploring and discovering until we have that contact and their goals in hand. It's good. But, you know, it's always good that sometimes when you are talking to somebody and they are probably living in a fictional space, like, you know, and I met somebody who was in a fictional space, so she was not in her reality and she was in a different zone. So I just quickly changed and I said, no, I don't want to talk to you because, you know, it's a waste of time. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that if you know that the ideal type of collaborator, and that's even why we're talking today, to spark a conversation with yourself to say, especially if you're a sole proprietor, okay, self, let's have a business meeting. What is the type of collaborator? Then you can save yourself to some time, to your point, absolutely. So what are their goals? They might have a different goal for their business, but are they aligned again? To your point of social engagement, even if you're talking about social media, and I'm going to Q next and then Alicia. So if you look at your goals, I mean, you want to somewhat be aligned. Like if you have, 25,000 followers and you're agreeing to a co-promotion, but they only have 200 followers, that's not exactly a balanced co-promotion, right? So a cross promotion. So you want to, sometimes you could do it out of the goodness of your heart, but if you want to do it for good business reasons, try to find someone who is at the same engagement level as well, to Krishna's point. So thank you for that. Hugh, go ahead.
I think that before collaborating with anybody, to the point of getting that sort of more information, similar to what we just did, right? You need to have those conversations so that you may wind up in a collaboration like you were talking about with coffee roasting and drawn out sign language things, not things you would ever put together, but somehow in conversation that I wish that I could, or I was thinking, but I don't know how, allowing those conversations to sort of happen organically so that then somebody can say, oh, actually, I found a thing. Oh, I knew, right? So it's being open to that conversation and not thinking you know what you need, because that's where I am right now. I think I know what I need. I need to stop believing that so I can get more information.
And we become richer in our businesses the more people we add to our network and the more conversations that we have, not just in a shallow, I'm following you, you're following me type of a way. But I hope that even today you might spark some, conversations that happen later. Or if any point our weekend clients are like, Carrie, do you know someone in this sector in the weekend community? Reach out to me, right? And so that's what I'm here for, to connect you. Alicia, go ahead. You had a comment.
I think it's really important to check in with our intuition as well. And, is it a hell yes? Like, yeah, I want to do this. Or am I doing it just because it'll be good, it'll build relationships. Like I recently turned down a really big project because I kept meeting with this person and they were constantly late, and they really wanted me to change my whole like curriculum with the Mindful Kids series to meet their values. And I was like, but this is what I believe. These are my values. And it just didn't work out because at that time, I didn't have the cognitive ability to go back and change my entire curriculum and what works for me and what I've been doing for years. And they're just starting out and they've gotten grants with like United Nations. And I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, and, you know, I had to really think like, do I want to take time away from my family right now and work these late evenings to change everything? And yeah, like financially, it would have been great. And it probably would have helped my business grow as well. But it felt like a no. And it was almost liberating to say no, because when I did, more doors opened that aligned with my values and my mission in life.
And I think timing is everything, right? So there might be a collaboration opportunity that's just not right for right now. And you can still continue that relationship and not like just, okay, you're gone, you're not of value to me. You never know when someone might be of value to you or vice versa. So I have the bridge behind me just symbolically, but you don't want to burn those bridges, right? You want to keep bridges available and open. Awesome. Any other quick comment then before we go into our next? Oh, go ahead, Victoria, you have your hand up.
Yeah, something that I learned at sort of the end of last year is, you know, even if you do start a collaboration, no matter what you have into it, you can change your mind. I started Shop Central with a business partner, and it got to the point where I felt like a lot of what I'd been sold on was a little bit of smoke and mirrors. And even though we had contracts, even though we'd both purchased into the company, you know, the anxiety that I was feeling working with this person just wasn't worth what I was going through. So, you know what, it was a pain in the butt, but I changed my mind, and now working is fun again.
That's key. And we have to ask, what's the little guy's name? Because he's as cute as, yeah. What is it?
Carter.
Oh my gosh. Cute as anything. Mine is 17 and won't let me like do his cheeks anymore. So brilliant. So one of the things I want to note before we go into our last breakout room, which we'll just keep to a quick time because now I know the auto transcription is not working there, is that having a common audience is also really helpful when you're in a collaboration. So for instance, I'll choose Ingrid, who's just beside me on my screen, and say, okay, so if I learned that Ingrid and I have very similar audiences, and yet we are not delivering the same service, and that is very important. Like if there's a human resources coach and I'm a human resources coach, we have the same audience, but also, hey, we're competing directly. That's probably not a great collaboration unless it's sort of a summit or something that you're doing. But you know, if you can share an audience, if you find a shared audience with someone, that gives you extra people to reach, does it not? That allows you to double your reach if you're doing a cross promotion. And I just wrote down a few other ways. I mean, I talked about social media, but let me mention a couple other ways that collaborations could happen. You could co-host an event or a workshop. So that again, I think a similar type of a audience is helpful in that case. Maybe you're a guest blog, you do a guest post on their blog, and if you have a blog, then you invite them to post on yours. Or if you have a podcast, the same kind of idea. You might share useful connections, not email lists. Let me be clear, that's not legal, but you might have connections, and through conversations like you mentioned, you can actually find, you know, hey, do you know someone? Like, let's talk to each other. Let's ask, right? And instead of saying, oh, I wish I knew someone, let's start reaching out and asking. And then the other part is bartering products and services. I love when women do this. It's like, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. But in that case, you want to make sure it's of equal value, right? So that's important. All right. So there's some different ways that we can collaborate. What I'd love to do is pop one more time into the breakout rooms. I'm mindful of the time. I think let's just give it like 5, we can do 10 minutes, I think. I think we can do 10. And what I want you to do, this time you'll probably be in a different group, and I'm gonna make the group smaller, I think. I'm gonna try. And the idea here is that I want you to find commonalities amongst your audience, all right? Are there any? Maybe there are none, okay? But let's switch it up. Instead of what do you have in common with the other businesses, let's look at our audiences. And by the way, some of you might have to step back because you don't know your audience yet, right? And you need to take a good look at who are you trying to reach. And that's a coaching session that I can set up with you, or that's something that you can work on your own. Okay, so let's pop into our breakout rooms. The guiding question here is, what are some commonalities between our audiences that we have? So let me go ahead. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna recreate some rooms, add a room, and we are going to pop out. So let's explore, have fun. So welcome back, everyone. Does anybody want to report back to us on maybe, I hope you had some time to get into the audiences. I know you were having fun talking about your businesses. Anybody from any group want to talk about something they found that their audience has in common with perhaps another audience? You can either use the icon to raise your hand. Go ahead, Denise.
Hi, everyone. So in our group, it gave me goosebumps talking with these ladies. We really realized that each of us, our clients, our potential target audience are women. And it is women that have, women entrepreneurs. And we realized that all of us, we want to empower our target audience. We want to empower these women, our clients, to take care of themselves and to grow their success, and we help them kind of find their way without giving them like all the answers. So we like empower them to do this. I think
that's so cool. Denise, do you find that you are depending who the businesses were they empowering women by providing different services or the same services? I'm curious.
Each of us have completely different services that we offer.
Bingo. So there's a great opportunity to say, we're actually aligned. We have the same audience. I hope by the end of this day, you're following each other on Instagram and maybe reaching out to say, what are some ways that we can even start with a quick little Instagram story promotion? I was in this workshop today and I met these two. You can use social media in a lot of ways. So wonderful. That gives me goosebumps, Denise. That's awesome. Great. Whitney, go ahead.
Oh, yes. We found out we are all very interested in each other's product and services. And then we are going to use the product be each other's customers. We all offer something very different. That's a jewelry, that's a wellness form, and then that's photography and a lot of social media design. And so yes, we found lots of synergy.
Exciting. And even sometimes when people have a similar business, just a reminder that nobody has your story, right? So Whitney's story is different than Aileen's story, and that's different than Ashley's story. So never get overwhelmed by, oh, look at Tatiana, what she's doing. She's serving the same audience. That's already taken. Not in the way that you can serve that audience, right? So remember that. That's awesome. Anyone else want to share about either similarity of audience, anything like that? And Karishma, I think someone's asking for your contact info in the Zoom, so don't miss that. Go ahead. Anyone else want to share anything about common audience or a thought that just occurred to you in your discussion? Go ahead, Kathy.
It was interesting, similar to what Denise said, not that we're providing services for empowerment, but some are, but our audiences are either exclusively or primarily women, and which was surprising to me. I didn't quite expect that, but and women with a few extra dollars to spend.
Nice. That's great. I love that you're starting to clarify, because here's the other thing. When you go through an exercise of niching down, I mean, women is a huge niche, women entrepreneurs, is also a large niche, though is smaller than women, you know, and then you want to take that down further and further. And there's exercises you can do, because there is real value in understanding who your core customer is, right? So that you don't spend a lot of money and time chasing after clients that you don't actually want, or who probably aren't in alignment with your services. Cool. Looking at the time. All right, so as not a wrap up, but in our last 6 minutes or so here, I'd love to hear sharing from the group about maybe a collaboration they've done that's worked. And let's just try to keep these in like 1 minute or less. This is like popcorn situation here. Pop up, share a collaboration, or you can do an ask. You could say, hey, I'm Carrie, and I'm really looking to collaborate with somebody, if anyone has a contact or anything about this. Now, I didn't prep you for that, so I'll just let you decide. But you know, if you've had some ideas bubbling, then by all means share. So 2 things: either you know, a collaboration you've been involved, or collaboration you'd like to be involved with. I'll let you take it from there. Let's just popcorn. Let's try to keep it to 1 minute or less. Victoria, you're up first.
Thank you so much. So with Shop Central, we are basically exclusively collaboration based. If I wasn't working with other businesses, my business doesn't exist. We're essentially a reseller of local businesses. So right now it's primarily products, but in the next sort of foreseeable future, we'd like to get into fresh produce, things like dairy, milk, and anything that we can get in the KFL area. We'd also like to eventually expand into providing services, a service listing on the website as well. So if anyone has any interest in chatting with me about what kind of information I should be bringing to small businesses, or if you have a small product-based business or you know someone that has one, we'd always love to have, we want to have everyone really. So if you know anyone, we'd love to meet them.
Victoria, put your email again, or maybe contact info into the Zoom chat again, just to remind people. Who would like to go next?
Zoom chat, yes.
Lorena, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Well, now that I'm learning on how to do a business plan, I learned that it helps a lot making surveys. So I don't know if everybody of you will help me answering my surveys, and I'm also available and open to answer any of your surveys to improve your business or to make it better. Probably feel free to send any of your surveys to me, and also if I can send them to you, it will help me a lot now that I'm expanding and growing my business.
That's awesome, Lorena. Go ahead, put your email, if you feel comfortable, put your email in the chat, or a link to your website. Awesome. Michelle, you're up next.
All right. I'm actually looking for, I'm looking to build my list of local experts for the wellness side of the retreats that I'm trying to put together. So I'm looking for things like local artisans, chefs, jewelry makers, painters, and you know, it could be somebody that does forest walks, yoga, like health and wellness. So I'm trying to primarily focus on working with women, but I'm open to, you know, working with anyone. So yes, that's what I'm trying to, so anybody have any contacts? There's been a couple people in this session that I'm absolutely going to be connecting with, because I also need to get some my socials going, my website up, and all that kind of stuff. And there's been some great contacts there.
Awesome, okay. Michelle, do put your contact info if you want to in the chat, and we'll follow up on that. The other Michelle Deschen, go ahead.
I need to talk to Michelle also, because I'm looking for opportunities. March is Nutrition Month, especially if anybody has any groups or they belong to groups, or for corporate wellness discussions or group discussions. I recently did something for the Chamber, for the Rotary Club. I love doing nutrition presentations, especially food and mood.
Oh.
Food and mood. I like that. That sounds fun. Very cool.
Emotional eating, really, also.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else would like to go during our time we have left? Don't be shy. I don't want to miss anyone. Someone's hanging back, but you're going to get in and it's going to make all the difference when you put up your hand here in just a second. Go ahead, Tatiana, round it out.
Well, I would love to connect with everyone. And
there you go.
You all invited for a cup of coffee at my house.
That's awesome. I cannot wait till we can do that. Oh, Tatiana, I'm going to take you all up on that offer. We're going to be in the same room one day and doing exactly that. So thank you so much for joining us today in this virtual. You know what? Virtual is better than nothing, honestly. And I did put my email I'll put it into the chat one more time right here. And the reason I do that is if you're not already on our weekly e-bulletin list, you can at least get a notification about these types of sessions so you don't miss any, and funding opportunities, workshops, things that come up in our community. Reach out. Also, if you're like, okay, there was this woman and she talked about this, but I didn't get her email. I mean, I'm going to be that central person in the center of your wheel, if you will. I'll be the hub for you. Okay. So I hope that you have a fantastic day and that today has sparked some thinking about collaboration. Go ahead and start brainstorming, because on our own, we're only so strong, but there is strength in numbers, and growth comes exponentially when we start to reach out, ask, and collaborate. So thanks everyone. Enjoy your day, and let's keep collaborating. Thanks everyone.